If you want to learn how to mine AION using Simple Mining OS and Windows 10 on AMD and NVIDIA GPU crypto mining rigs, and you don't really know where to start, you AION the right channel, because we're going to go step by step, and we're starting right now. What's up, Savages? If this is your first time here and you're interested in building, maintaining, and configuring a GPU crypto mining rig and a bunch of other crypto related stuff, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. I'm going to discuss a little bit about what AION is, so if you came here just to learn how to mine it, I'll leave timestamps down in the description so you can jump to exactly what you need, because I'm all about not wasting your time. For all you short attention span miners out there like myself, here's the bottom line up front. Blockchain is growing at an incredible pace. And while that's great for us that are in the space and witnessing it, it creates a really significant problem. Each blockchain becomes its own centralized system within its own network. Now, I'm not talking about centralization like management. It is decentralized within its own network, but think about it. That network doesn't talk very easily with the other network, the other blockchain, right? And communication between these two networks is almost impossible. To better understand what I'm talking about, take this as an example. Right now we have multiple networks. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, all these different networks. And they do not communicate well with one another. I mean, heck, even the people running them don't communicate well with one another. And I think we can all agree that until there's a protocol that allows all these networks to communicate with each other seamlessly and allow us, the end users, to use those technologies without even knowing we're using those technologies, we're all going to be stuck in this rut of limited adoption. And I'm sure that we can also all agree that interoperability is the key to mass adoption. Enter AION. AION has a really solid team behind them. They're even partnered with ICON and WANchain to form the Blockchain Interoperability Alliance. That word is so hard for me to say for some reason. Interoperability. There you go. Boom. And I think it's pretty clear that you can see if AION succeeds, then we all succeed. Just some real quick examples. Imagine being able to send Ethereum to a Bitcoin address without going through an exchange, or connecting some legacy old network to an existing blockchain and using those features and functions and capabilities of that blockchain in the old legacy network. And last but not least, imagine being a developer. Right now, a developer has to create an app for a specific blockchain or a specific protocol. Well, with AION, they'll be able to create a single dApp, a single decentralized application that works on all blockchains. Okay, so that's like a little summary. Now let's get a little bit deeper. The blockchain space is growing more and more complex due to the number of public and private blockchains being created. Over time, this will create a flawed system of disparate networks that won't be able to send data or value to one another and lack all the benefits of interoperability. Each blockchain network will be its own separate node in the entire ecosystem. This isn't an efficient way of implementing a modern technology, and it has created massive growing pains for blockchain compatibility, allowing companies like AION to come in and offer a solution. AION is a third-generation multi-tiered blockchain designed to solve these scalability, interoperability, and privacy problems between disparate blockchain networks. They're looking at the big picture with regards to blockchain adoption and usability while thinking long-term and way outside the box, which is quite refreshing when compared to all the copy and paste projects we're all familiar with from the past year or so. The scalability problem will be solved in much the same way that it was for the internet, by using a hub and spoke model of connectivity, bridging together all these different blockchain networks, allowing reliable and responsive transfer of data and value from one to the other. Interoperability is probably AION's highest priority. Companies don't want to create isolated systems that don't allow them to connect seamlessly with their partners. Imagine a supplier not being able to communicate with a manufacturer's blockchain or vice versa. And then there's privacy, another major concern of companies, And AION is working on privacy solutions as well. In fact, they recently worked with Veritransfer, which is a company aiming to decentralize the process of storing ownership rights and transfer of firearms, while maintaining gun owner privacy. The founders describe AION as a not-for-profit foundation that operates like a for-profit company. Given their altruistic fundamentals, it's easy to see the potential for continued growth. They understand that what they're working on is world-changing and way bigger than just them. There are three main parts to AION. There's the blockchain network called AION1. Then you have the cryptocurrency itself, which is the AION coin. And lastly, you have the foundation. AION1 is the first public enterprise blockchain. You can think of it as a blockchain that connects disparate blockchains together, and it'll be used as a platform to help developers build cross-chain decentralized applications, or dApps, and bridges. The AION coin will be used by transaction creators as the fuel to use the network. This will financially incentivize developers and companies to create bridges and connection points on the AION1 blockchain. I'm calling this a coin because there's a token swap going on until the end of November to transfer all AION ERC20 tokens to AION coins. If your wallet address holding your AION starts with 0xA, you're already holding AION coins. The AION Foundation is the driving force behind research and development and works closely with the developers to grow the ecosystem. They'll help them create interchain dApps that'll work on any blockchain connected to AION1. Okay, so I went through some of the AION details. Believe me, this was not even a deep dive. We were barely skimming the surface of what AION is all about. But I went through these details because I think it's important to understand the fundamental goals of the networks you support with your hash power. AION is more of a long-term play with a 10-year plan and is much more than just another coin to mine. And speaking of mining, let's get after it. This video assumes you already have a rig up and running and visible on your Simple Mining OS dashboard. If you don't, you can always check out my other videos on building your first mining rig, and I have some on Simple Mining OS as well. I'll leave a card over here for those. I always like to start off by creating a folder and a text file within that folder for documenting the information needed to successfully mine a coin. It just keeps it handy and all in one place. I like to keep things super clean by creating a folder on the desktop for the project that I'm working on. Right-click, New Folder. We're going to call it AION. And then I have a template that I use for mining info. I'm just going to copy that. Right-click, copy, go back to the other folder. Right-click, paste. And we're going to open this up. And this just has the pertinent information that you always need in order to successfully mine a coin. So we're going to go ahead and start filling this out for AION. Let's go and grab their Bitcoin Talk thread. Use the Brave browser. It's a little slow to start, but it's actually pretty good. I like it. Do a search, AION. This one right here is actually not the official announcement thread. I'll show you real quick. This is just someone that is following the project. So make sure you choose the right one. It's this one right here. So it'll look like this. And then from here, we'll just copy this. Throw that into our document. And then on that same page, we can also get the website. We're going to go ahead and open that in a new tab because we're going to need it. Document that website as well. And this is a good start to documenting the process. The first thing you always need in order to mine a coin is their wallet with a receiving address. To get an AION wallet for Windows, you have to go to their website. And then click on Docs. And then down here under Tokens, it says AION Desktop Wallet. Click on that. And then you click on Install the AION Desktop Wallet. And then you can either click on Windows here or scroll down here a little bit. They both do the same thing. You need to make sure that you have the latest version, the latest stable version of Java, because AION runs on Java. Then you'll click AION Wallet Repository, and it's going to download the wallet. Once it's finished, you go into the folder that you downloaded it to. And a really good practice is to run the file that you just downloaded through a virus checker, like an online virus checker like VirusTotal, just to make sure that it's clean. You know, you're downloading a file, an executable from the internet, so it's just a good way to double check it. So we'll run this through, we'll run AION Wallet Setup.exe through the VirusTotal virus checking. You know, this is like online, so we'll just click and drag the executable over to here, and then as you can see, it's super clean, which is definitely comforting. But what that means is that the company or the developers or the management of AION have, you know, contacted each one of these companies and had them analyze the file to make sure that there's no viruses or no malicious software in there. That's really all this means. As miners, you know, if you download a wallet and you run it through here, probably a high percentage, 95% of them are going to be dirty in some way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's infected or that it is actually malicious software. It just means that whoever the developer is of the actual miner has not contacted these companies and had it analyzed. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you're going through, you know, the mining process. And now we'll go back to the folder where you downloaded it to, and right click and run as administrator. You may have to agree to allow the program to run in order to get to this point. Then you'll click next, install, and it'll go through the installation process. Then we'll go ahead and let it launch the wallet, so we'll click finish. Now, I already have an account, a wallet on this computer, but basically what you'll end up with is a screen that looks similar to this, but you'll click Add Account. Then you'll enter in an account name and a password. I recommend using a complex password here. Then you'll click Create. And now you'll want to write down your seed words. These are important if you need to restore your wallet for any reason. Then click Continue. Then you can see right here, you still don't really have any way of copying anything to the clipboard as far as your receiving address. You have to click Accounts and then Unlock Accounts. And then enter in your password, not your seed words, but the password that you use to create your account. And then you're going to click Unlock. And now you should be able to see your public address. And if you compare that to your receiving address, by default, it's going to be the same. So you click Receive, and then copy to clipboard, and then that's what we're going to throw into our documentation. We'll go ahead and document the website as well, where we got the wallet from, the link. Document that, and that's pretty much it for the wallet. The second thing you'll need to determine is what algorithm the coin uses. To figure out the algorithm, normally you just go to the coin's Bitcoin talk, and it'll discuss it on here usually. Just gonna scroll down a little bit. I don't doesn't jump out at me right now. I do know what it is, and I know where I can see it. I don't see it on the announcement thread though. So if you go over here to their website and scroll down and look at their roadmap, it tells you right here, AION proof of work is EQUIHASH 2109. So that's what algorithm we're working with. So let's document that. You could also go to whattomine.com to determine what algorithm most coins are. Also wanted to point out that if you go to whattomine.com, there's a new selection for AION algorithm, and if you choose that and search for NVIDIA or search using NVIDIA GPUs, you can see that AION shows up in the list now. The third thing you'll need to figure out is what miner programs you'll use. To figure out what miners we're going to be using, what mining software, let's head back over to their website. We're going to click on Docs. Then we're going to go to, under Mining, we're going to go to External Resources. And you can see right here they're pointing us to the EWBF miner for NVIDIA and the LOLMINER for AMD. If we open this in a new tab, it'll take us to the Bitcoin Talk thread for EWBF, and we can see here that it looks like they're up to version 0.6. So if we go over here to simple mining, since we're using simple mining, and we go to group config, add a group, we're just going to look at what miners they actually have here. And they are up to 0.6, so that's good. And you can see right here that it's only for NVIDIA. So for NVIDIA, we're going to be using EWBF 0.6 CUDA 91. Let's go ahead and copy that and throw that into our documentation for under NVIDIA. And then let's go back over here and look to see what we're supposed to use for AMD, and it was LOLMINER. Right click on it, open a new tab. It's going to take us to their Bitcoin Talk thread. Okay, looks like they're up to 0.5. They do have an alpha version, 0.6. Let's go see what is in simple mining. So they're up to 0.5 in simple mining. So we will just use 0.5. Now I think it's really appropriate to say that I don't recommend mining AION on AMD GPUs. It's just not efficient. It's an EQUIHASH algorithm which is geared more towards NVIDIA. NVIDIA does way better than AMD at mining EQUIHASH. So I would not recommend trying to mine AION on AMD GPUs at this time. We are going to do it for the video, but that's just to show you how to do it. I would not recommend it. The fourth thing you'll need is to find a pool you want to use and the port number for that pool. Oftentimes, port numbers are associated to the particular coin you're mining, but it really depends on the pool, the miner, and the coin altogether. Typically, whenever you're looking for a pool to mine to, you would just go to the website of the coin you're trying to mine. In this case, it's AION.network. We're already over here under mining and external resources. And if you look under public pools, they list quite a few here. But what I like to do is, because we're going to be mining AION on a more regular, consistent basis, I want a really reliable pool that I can trust and that has some failover capabilities and things like that. So what I like to do is go to coincalculators.io. There was a link on that last page. I don't know why I didn't click it. And in this case, we're going to click on coins. And then we're going to look for AION. I see it right there, but we'll just do the search just for the heck of it. And then we're going to click on AION. And then you can see right here, they have a recommended pools link. So I would click on that. And it tells us that the most reliable pool, in their opinion, is AIONPOOL.TECH. So we'll right click on Visit Pool and choose Open in a new tab. Then we'll go to that tab. And this is AIONPOOL.TECH. Right now they have 0 fees until the end of the year. That's super cool. And this will be where we can put in our wallet right here and actually look at stats once we get to mining. If you want to look at pool stats, you can click on pool stats over here, and this will tell you information about the entire pool as a whole. All the important stuff. And then if you click on miners, you can see the top 500 contributors by hash rate. Blocks will show you the blocks that have been found and confirmed and pending and all that stuff. Payments. This is kind of important because if you go to a pool that doesn't have any payments listed, then I probably wouldn't use that pool. So I usually go into the payments section and just look at the times, you know, right here, and make sure that it's pretty consistent. Then you can go to connect. And this is probably the first place you'll go as a miner, because what we're looking for is our port number and the actual URL of the server of the mining pool. So in this case, we're going to use, I have a 6 GPU rig, so I'm going to use port 3333. We came here for this, so let's go ahead and document it. And then we're going to look for the Stratum server, or the actual server URL that we're going to use. And in this case, we're going to choose cluster.aionpool.tech. And the reason is because that cluster server, or that address, actually is a failover address. Not only does it connect you to the closest Stratum server to you, it also, if that server fails, it will switch over to the next available one. Basically ends up being no downtime with regards to a pool, unless all the pools went down at the same time, which is not likely. So we'll document that. Put a colon in between there so we don't forget. And now we have our, well, let's go back to the website real quick, because we also have a couple other things here. So if we go to alerts, this is like where they have a news feed, alerts and updates. And you can see right here, you know, they reiterate the fact that they have a 0% fee until the end of the year. And then if we click on AION wallet, it has locations for getting the AION wallet, which we already have. They actually have a Coinomi wallet, and that one you can actually mine to it, which is kind of neat. Then you have contacts and links. They have the AIONPOOL.TECH social media links here. And I can tell you the AIONPOOL.TECH Discord is really active. If you ever need any help with anything, you can head over there and go into the mining or troubleshooting links and get some assistance if you're having any trouble with the pool. Yashnik and the other folks that are support are very active on all the social media. So if you need help with the pool, you can always contact them there. They also have AION official links down here to the various sections of the AION website. We've already been to the website. We've already been to docs quite a few times. But I do want to show you this dashboard here. If you click on dashboard, it shows you like current status of the AION network. It's got a lot of cool features on here. It shows recent transactions, recent blocks, all the hash rates and things like that. You can also click on analytics and view various different things, but one thing that's kind of neat is hash power. It shows you the hash power over time. And then maybe someday I'll be one of these top miners here. not likely, but. And so that's pretty neat. That's another cool feature on the AION website. If you go back to AIONPOOL.TECH contact and click on forum, this is another good feature of the AION website. If you have any questions about AION itself, or specifically mining, in our case, there's a whole mining section right here if you have questions about mining. So that's kind of neat. And they have information about pretty much anything related to AION. So if you're having any questions, you should probably start here. They even have a nice search feature right here. You can search for whatever your question is. And you can get to this forum and all the other links that I just showed you from AION's main webpage as well. So let's show you that real quick. You go over here to AION.network and then you click on the 3 lines over here, or hamburger menu. Right here is the forum, here's the dashboard, you know, so you can get to that same place from AION's website as well. Now let's head back over to AIONPOOL.TECH's website. And then if you go to analytics, I'm not a TA guy at all, but knowing the goals of AION, I can look at this chart and just know that it's completely oversold, completely undervalued. This chart to me looks like opportunity. And this is by no means financial advice. I'm just a savage dude doing savage mining. You know, you got to do your own research and all that stuff. Don't take it from me. But I look at this chart and I see opportunity. So now that we have our mining pool server URL and the port number, we can press on with the next step. Once you gather all this info, you should be able to start mining. Let's mine AION using an NVIDIA GPU rig and Simple Mining OS. To start mining, let's head over to Simple Mining dashboard. And then we're going to click on Add Group, or Group Config and then Add Group. And then for NVIDIA rigs, remember we're going to be using the EWBF miner. We'll use the latest one. And if the miners don't work for whatever reason, they always recommend getting the latest Simple Mining OS image. So make sure you keep that in mind. And I like to use a naming convention of coin, then algorithm. In this case, EQUIHASH 2109. And then the type of GPUs is NVIDIA, and then the company or whatever is SavageMine. For group description, I always use the manufacturer first, GPU manufacturer, then the algorithm or the coin, and then the algorithm, and then the pool. In this case, it's AIONPOOL.TECH. So we'll just do it like that. And then we have our miner options here. So the next thing we'll do is grab our pool address, copy that, bring it in here for server, paste it, make sure there's no, or make sure that there's a space there because it took it out. And then we have to do the port number, which is 3333. And then the user is your receiving address, your wallet receiving address. Copy that and then paste it in here. And then make sure there's a space there. This is probably where a lot of people get tripped up, because whenever you're doing that copying and pasting, you know, sometimes it'll take out that space. And this is super small, so you kind of have to pay, you know, close attention to what you're doing here. Go back through here. And just from experience, I know that on this particular pool, it is requiring for algo, you're going to want to put AION and not 210_9, because that's not going to work. AION for the algorithm. And then we're going to choose add group. We're going to go back to our rig list and then choose our NVIDIA rig. Put a check mark next to it. Under group, then we're going to click on group config and we're going to choose AION 2109 NVIDIA, which is the group that we just created. This miner is already downloaded, so I'm just going to choose reload. If it needed to be downloaded, if it wasn't already, I would recommend choosing reboot. So we'll just do a reload. And we'll look at the console here. So this is looking good so far. We have an accepted share. Just want to see some hash rate and then we'll call it good. Okay, so there's our hash rates. You can tell GPU 4 and 5 are probably the 1070s. So that's it. So we are up and mining AION on an NVIDIA rig. We're not really going to go through too much overclock settings or anything like that, but I do want to show you what mine are. I think they're set pretty well. You can see right here, the 140s are 1080s. Founders edition, and the 150 core is for a 1070 Ti. I have two of those, and then the 90 is for a 1070. So if you look at how the memory is set, it's 1900 on the 1080, 1400 on the 1070 Ti, 1300 on the 1070. I've got the power pretty low because I did, like a lot of back and forth testing and trying to get my souls per watt at a good level, and with these overclock settings I'm getting about 1.68 souls per watt. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's mine AION using an AMD GPU rig and Simple Mining OS. To mine AION using AMD and Simple Mining OS, let's go ahead and create a new group. So we go to group config, add a group. We're going to choose LOLMINER. Remember, that's the one that we have to use for AMD. And the latest version is 0.5. Let's go ahead and select that. And then again, we're back to the naming convention. Since we already wrote it up here, we can select it and just edit it. So we're going to change this to AMD. This is a new group altogether. So we'll choose AMD. We'll write AMD for the group description, and then AION, and then EQUIHASH 2109, and then the pool. All right, so now let's start building our miner options again. This one's a little different because it is a different miner. So this is going to use coin. So I would assume that this is going to be AION. We'll put that in there. The pool will be the pool that we choose, which is cluster.AIONPOOL.TECH. Paste that in there. Make sure that you get your spaces right. We know the port is 3333, 3333. The user, we need to put in our receiving address. Let's go grab that again. Paste it in there. And then password, I usually see it as X, so we'll change it to X. All right, so now let's copy this whole string But I do want to kind of look at it again real closely here. A little closer, make sure that we have the don't have spaces deleted and things like that that we need. It looks pretty good. So we'll click add group. We're going to go ahead and add that into our documentation here. Let me go grab the NVIDIA one as well, since I forgot to add it. Okay, now we're back on AMD, right? Go back to simple mining and go back to rig list. Then we're going to choose our AMD rig. Put a check mark next to it, group config, and then we're going to choose the AMD, the group that we just created, which is AION 2109 AMD. I don't know if this miner is actually on the rig, so I'm going to choose reboot. Now this rig here is an 11 GPU rig. It's got 9 580s and 2 570s. So this is going to be a pretty cool little experiment here, because you're going to see the difference between mining EQUIHASH on NVIDIA and mining EQUIHASH on AMD. So once this gets booted back up, you'll be able to see, like, this rig right here is a 6 GPU rig, and this one is an 11 GPU rig, almost double. Alright, so the rig is rebooting now, or it's booting up into the new miner. And so far it looks pretty good. It says it's configured to mine AION, the correct algorithm there. Now it's connecting to the pool, and we've got an accepted share, so that's good. Now let's just wait on the hash rate, which I don't even know about this miner. I don't know if it, yeah, okay, there it goes, it's showing you. I mean, these are pretty default clocks and things like that. There might be some adjusting that I can do, but you can clearly see that this is an 11 GPU rig getting 1,100 souls, and a 6 GPU rig NVIDIA gets 1,200. So right off the bat you can see it's just not really efficient to mine EQUIHASH with AMD GPUs. Here's my current memory clock or overclock settings. Again, I mean, I could modify this a little bit. I did play around with it a little bit early on whenever I was first starting to mine AION on AMD, and it's just not efficient. So I just don't recommend it. But if you have to, there you go. There's your AMD. Let's mine AION using an NVIDIA GPU rig and Windows 10. We'll start by heading over to the AION.network website, and then we're going to click on Docs, External Resources under Mining, and then EWBF's NVIDIA CUDA Miner. It just takes you to the Bitcoin Talk thread for the EWBF CUDA Miner, and you can see here that they're up to version 0.6. So now we'll just scroll down a little bit. You can see where they talk about AION on here. And apparently they forgot to put files in this Google Drive down here because it's empty. So we'll use the mega.nz file share here. So we're going to click on that. And then in this case, because it is newer, we'll just go ahead and choose the 0.6 version. This one is using CUDA 8, and CUDA is Compute Unified Device Architecture, and it's just the computing and platform model that NVIDIA uses for their GPUs. Whether you choose CUDA 8 or 9 will depend on your hardware and drivers you're using. CUDA 8 is for older NVIDIA GPUs, 9 is for 10 series GPUs, and the 390 version drivers. We'll just grab the 9.1 version right here. It doesn't say 9.1, but it is 9.1. You'll see that in a minute. So we're going to click on the little ellipses over here and click download, and we'll go standard download. Then we're going to open up that folder and the download folder, and you can see it right here. So we'll just extract it in place. But in your case, you'll want to extract it to wherever you normally extract your miner programs to. And if you go into here, you can see right here that the DLLs for the CUDA are 9.1. And if we had downloaded the other one, it would have been 8 instead of 9.1 right here. Basically, you have the run.bat file that runs the miner, and it also passes along some configuration that the miner is going to use. The miner then uses these other files to run. So the only one that we're really concerned with is the run.bat file. We're going to right click on it and choose edit. And basically this is the file right here that it's running, the miner.exe. And then the algo is the algorithm. And then the personalization string right here is an 8-character string the miner passes to the pool as part of its config. Some coins use it, but for the pool we're using and the coin we're mining, it's not used. In fact, if you use 210_9 as the algo, you'll get incorrect work errors. And then the server is typical, you know, it's the stratum or the pool URL that you're trying to connect to. And then the port is the port that the pool uses for this particular coin. And then the user is the address, and then you've got a dot, and you can put a rig name over here after your address. And then in our case, the password is not used. But let's go ahead and set this up for AION. For AION, it doesn't use the personalization string, so we have to put AION right here as the algo. And don't capitalize it. Make sure that it's lowercase, or else you'll get errors as well. We're going to take the personalization string out. If you did need to use the actual algorithm 2109 for the algo for whatever reason, and the personalization argument, you could use, let me get rid of this here, you could use it like this. This is the personalization string for AION on this pool, probably AION in general, but we're not going to do that. We're going to change this back to AION. It's much simpler. It's not required, so we'll just leave it like that. So let's go and get our server URL from our documentation. Cluster.AIONPOOL.TECH. Then we're just going to remember that the port is 3333 there. Paste that in there. Change the port to 3333. Make sure your space is in there. And I do want to point out there's actually 2 spaces right here in between here. And then our user is our receiving address. We'll go and grab that from our documentation as well.
right click, paste, and then like I was saying before, you can set up a rig name in here. So we'll just use something like this. You can name it whatever you want, but that'll separate it out on the pool so that you can identify each individual miner or rig. And then for this particular coin, AION, you can take the password out, or I'm sorry, for this particular pool, you can take that out. And then we're just going to click File and then Save, and then go back to the folder where you extracted everything to, and this is the file that we just edited, and then you just double click on that to run it.
And now you're mining AION on an NVIDIA rig running Windows 10. Let's mine AION using an AMD GPU and Windows 10. So let's head over to the AION.network website, and then we're going to click on Docs, and then under Mining you can see external resources. We've been here a few times. And you can see under miners, it's telling us to use LOLMINER for AMD GPUs, just like in Simple Mining OS. So we're going to right click on that and choose Open Link in a new tab. And you can see right here we already had it open because we were doing that research early on to determine what miner we were going to use for AMD GPUs. But now we're back at it because we're going to be using Windows this time. So if you go to Download section right here, and then we just click on Click Me 0.5 for LOLMINER, and since we're using Windows, we're going to choose this one. We're going to click on that. It's going to download it, and we're going to open the folder to go and see what we've got here. It is a zip file, so we have to unzip it, and for the purposes of this video I'll just unzip it to the default right here just to save time. You can put it wherever you want. After you extract the files, this is what you get, and here's where it gets a little tricky. You'll have 3 batch files in the folder, and batch files are just plain text executables that run commands in the order specified, and in this case they're used to launch the LOLMINER. We won't be messing with run benchmark.bat since it's not used to actually launch the miner. The run miner batch files set up some parameters and arguments, then launch lolminer.exe with those settings and start the mining process. For our scenario, we'll use run miner with restart.bat, and you may be asking, what's the difference between these 2 batch files? Well, let's see. If you right click on run miner with restart.bat and choose edit, you may have to allow it to run on your system by clicking more info and run anyway. But you'll see down here at the bottom where there's a go-to function and label or subroutine called mine that basically creates a loop to run the miner lolminer.exe if it crashes. We can demonstrate this functionality by running the batch file, opening Windows Task Manager, navigating to Windows Command Processes, expand that and you'll see LOLMINER running. Right click on it and choose End Task. Now you'll see the timeout countdown 10 seconds, then the miner restarts and starts mining again. You can also see right here where it's mining 0 by default. Let's close down the miner now. If you right click on the run miner.bat and choose edit, this is the other file that looks similar to run miner with restart.bat, you'll see that the mine loop is not present. If you run the batch file and the miner crashes, it won't be able to restart without further interaction. We can demonstrate that by double clicking on run miner.bat to launch the miner. You can see that it mines Bitcoin Gold by default. Now going back to Windows Task Manager, navigating to Windows Command Processes, expand that and you'll see LOLMINER running again. Right click on it and choose End Task. Now you'll just see the window disappear after the countdown time and the miner no longer running. For this tutorial, we'll use the semi-fault tolerant run miner with restart.bat. Now let's close Task Manager, then right-click on Run Miner with restart.bat and choose Edit. The only part that we're really concerned with is where we set the profile variable for the profile we want to use right here. You can see that it's set to example 0 profile, so it'll mine 0 right off the bat, unless you modify the configuration files. By default, LOLMINER uses user config JSON for its configuration, and this is just a plain text JavaScript object notation file that includes different coin profiles and their applicable settings. You can make LOLMINER use your own JSON file by using the user config parameter, but that's getting a little out of scope of this video. If you want to learn more about all these configs and settings, I suggest you look at the LOLMINER manual.pdf included with the miner, which is right here. For this video, we're going to use the default user config.json. So in the folder where you extracted all the files, we're only really concerned with 2 files, user config.json and run miner with restart.bat. Now let's right-click on user config.json and choose Edit. This file just has some default settings up here at the top. Then it has sections or profiles broken out for several different coins by default. If you just download and run miner with restart.bat, you'll be using the example 0 profile within the user config.json file, and you'll be mining 0 to this address right here, which probably isn't yours. What we need to do is modify the example AION profile to meet our needs. We'll start by renaming example AION to just AION. This is the profile name. Then we'll change the pool to the pool we want to use, which is cluster.AIONPOOL.TECH. The port is already correct at 3333. Now we need to grab our wallet receiving address from our document, highlight it, right-click copy, go back to user config.json, highlight this, right-click, paste. You can also set your rig name at the end here, after the period, so you can identify the rig when viewing stats on the pool. We'll name this one SavageMine PC. Since we're using the AIONPOOL.TECH cluster address, we don't really need this second failover pool address down here. That failover capability is included when you're using cluster.AIONPOOL.TECH address. So let's take out this whole section, highlight it, and then press delete. You have to leave this pass parameter in here because it seems like LOLMINER is looking for pool, port, user, and pass parameters to be set for each profile. If they aren't, the miner won't start successfully. You'll also want to remove any blank lines. And this is very important. See this little comma right here? Well, you have to delete that. There can't be a comma on the last line in each parameter section, or else the miner won't run successfully. And it gives you very little feedback. Then you click File, Save, close it, and now let's right-click on Run Miner with restart.bat and choose Edit. We have to tell this file what profile we want it to use, which is AION. So let's change example 0 to AION. Click File, Save, then close it. Now you can run it by double-clicking on it. You can see how it's now using the AION profile info. And you can also see, again, how AMD GPUs just don't cut it when mining EQUIHASH. This RX 580 is getting just a little over half of what a GTX 1070 gets. Since we do have a hash rate here, we'll call this good. We have a soul rate. We'll call this good, and that's how you mine AION using AMD GPUs on Windows 10. Okay, so we've covered how to mine AION using an NVIDIA rig and Simple Mining OS, an AMD rig and Simple Mining OS, and also NVIDIA using Windows 10 and an AMD GPU using Windows 10 as well. And in any one of those cases, you can always go back to the pool that you're mining to check on your stats. So that's what I wanted to show you now. So if you go to, let's make sure that we have our address copied to our clipboard. And then if you head over to the pool that you're using, in this case it's AIONPOOL.TECH, and you can go to My Dashboard, and then the wallet address, you just right click, paste, and then click Load My Wallet Data. And this will show you some information about what's going on with your particular miner at that time. Shows you hash rate, things like that. Your payouts and things. And if you want to see where you match up with other miners, you can click on miners over here. And this is a list of the top 500, and I don't think, if you look at the pool stats, I don't think that there were even 500 miners on here. No, there's 57, so you're going to be in the list. But if you want to see where you match up, you can just, find your address, but a quicker way would be to use the search feature. So find on this page, put in your address, and then press enter, I think, maybe. Yep. So there it is. So it looks like I'm hitting 2.7K. Now, if you want your different miners to show up here, or your different rigs to show up, like in the case of if you have more than one rig mining to this pool using that address, then in Simple Mining, you can just go to Group Config, and then go to the groups that you're wanting to add the worker to. And I'll show you an example here. This is the AMD pool, or I'm sorry, the LOL miner we're using to mine AION on the AIONPOOL.TECH pool. And if you add .rig name, which this is just a variable inside of Simple Mining, so it's a $ rig name, just like that. Let me blow that up a little bit. So you can see right there, that's the variable. You have to put a dot and then $ rig name. And then at some point, it will show up in here under workers. But AMD apparently takes a full 24 hours before it'll start showing up in here. And NVIDIA, it's the same thing. You just edit your miner config or your miner options to include .rig name, just like that. And then it'll show the rig name in AION pool under workers. So that's how you can get a little bit more information and watch your miners actually work on AIONPOOL.TECH. Since we're using Simple Mining OS, here's a quick little bonus tip. If you're connected to your rig via SSH and you need to know a little bit more about the GPUs that are installed, you can type in the following command at the terminal window. lspci space tac nnk pipe symbol space grep tac I VGA tac A2. And this will show you information about what GPUs are installed in the system. Just keep in mind that it also includes the onboard GPU if it's enabled. But you can see right here, you can determine which GPU is which. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 6 GPU rig. The first one being a 1070, then a 1080, 1070 Ti, so on and so forth. And this also works for AMD rigs. I'll show you that using PuTTY. LSPCI-NNK pipe grep -I VGA-A2. So this is what it looks like on AMD system. And again, it also includes the onboard card. Move this over here so you can see it a little bit better. So there you go. I hope that helps you out a little bit in the cases where you need it. If you found this video helpful, informative, and useful, please like, share, and subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.